am Apostle Cheryle L. Richardson, and I am the CEO and founder of Judah's Roar Domestic Violence Awareness Initiative. Our entire focus and purpose is to ignite hearts, inspire minds, and safeguard destinies as it pertains to domestic violence. We're calling this domestic violence and an advocate's unique perspective, their unique vantage point. Now, some of us have personal histories of domestic violence, and we will share as much as we are comfortable sharing in a public forum. Others may not, but we're all passionate. We're all passionate. And what I'm excited about is the various vantage points. We are in different parts of the country. We approach this problem, this issue, this pandemic from our own unique perspective. And everything that each one of us does is important. Sivan Walker is going to help us to moderate this today, as well as Karis Gamble will also be assisting. You all feel free to share this on all of your social media platforms. I know that we're going to come away with some really powerful, impactful information, and I'm excited about what I expect to learn today as we do this. And so we're going to go to our moderator, Sivan Walker. Safety planning is so critically important, and we talk about having a safety plan, you know, and we recognize that the most dangerous time is when a victim is actually leaving, like in that moment in time when they're physically leaving, that they're in danger. Right. But they're in increased danger 30 to 90 days after that. And the other thing is they're in even more increased danger. Say I make a police call. I call you, Dwayne, and you take the bad person away. You take the abuser away. When he gets out of jail or prison, wherever he's been sitting, 30 to 90 days post that, you're in increased danger. Because what we have to understand is we're not on the same timeline, and it really has nothing to do with the victim. It's all about what's going on in the abuser's head, how they've been wronged. And so while they're sitting on ice in jail, they are fuming. I haven't met one yet that became, oh my gosh, I'm genuinely sorry and it'll never happen again. Usually they're getting angry in there. They're losing income if they have a job. They may have gotten terminated if they have a job. They're embarrassed. You know, you can go online and find their mugshot online now. You know, there's public information. They are hot about having been held accountable for what they've done. And so you're in increased danger even then. And oftentimes victims will become celebratory. You know, you feel relieved and okay, he's in there. Okay, but he's fuming in there. And so 30 to 90 days from the time they get out, and then it can be 5 years from now. If they have what they consider a traumatic experience, they have a breakup, it's not unheard of for them to circle back around and get the person that they think started their bad luck, okay, when you broke up with them or when you left them. And so it's important, I think, for victims and for advocates to understand that we need to caution them when they do leave. Rejoice with them, and that's great, but they must remain sober-minded. And they will never be able to live their life the way they once lived it, and that you have to always be mindful that this person is out there somewhere, right? They're out there with stuff going on in their life, and they probably still blame you for where they are right now.
Yep.
And it's important that you don't tell yourself, well, I'm letting them control how I live. No, you're using wisdom.
Right.
As high a profile as I have on social media, if you see me post that I'm at the Atlanta airport, I promise you I was there. I'm not there right now.
Yes.
I'm not there right now. Okay. And so you can build it into how you live your life, and it doesn't feel restrictive, and you're not living in fear or but you have to use wisdom.
Right.
And that just goes along with that decision that was made back there somewhere, right? Mm-hmm. To either pick someone or they picked you and then you stayed picked. You didn't get unpicked. Okay, you stayed picked, you stayed in the relationship or whatever. And so to me, it's just normal. It's the way I live. I'll post all day long where I've been. I promise you I'm not there right now.
Exactly.
That's exactly it. And that's a great point. And you know, that's the whole reason for the foundation that I started, Safe in Harm's Way. And it's twofold. It is, how do you ever stay safe, or the feeling of safety, when you will always be in harm's way for the rest of your life? Mm-hmm. And I don't say that to scare anybody. I say that you have been given the gift of endurance. Right. And I love the way you said it, Cheryle, that you're using the wisdom of what you've gained in order to live this life. And life is amazing and it's beautiful and there is so much beauty in the after. So how do you stay safe in harm's way? Because you're always going to be there. And most importantly, how do you stay safe when you have yet to leave your abuser and you know you need to leave? What can you do to stay safe when you are constantly in harm's way then?
Right.
And so it's the duality of the entire experience of surviving abuse needs to be addressed. And I think what you said was perfect in that. And you're right. I mean, I get phone calls from people who are like, you were traveling across the world. There's a pandemic. I'm like, no, but like at this time last year I was in New York. So, you know, because my location is never going to match where I actually am. And I have had the beauty, and this is an important thing I think to say to survivors, to cultivate as you speak your community. So without even me having to say a word about anything or my fear, the more I talk about it, the more people recognize what life must be like. And I get phone calls where no one will ever say his name. No one will ever acknowledge who this person is because he doesn't matter. But they will say, life is kind of squirrely for him right now. You might want to keep your head on a swivel. Because you are right. People sit in prison or not in prison if they're not in prison, but they sit where they're at, and the whole focus of why their life is so bad is you.
It goes back to you.
No reflection on their own actions. No. So it's beautiful that when I speak, and I think it's important to say to other survivors to speak about, again, we're reducing shame, but it's also allowing other people to go, well, I know without her having to say a word who this person is. I also know life isn't really good for him right now. I maybe should tell her to be aware.
Yes.
And there's a beauty in that.
Yes.
And there's gratitude in that, because, you know, God sends those people and those elements of protection. And so to have gratitude for it is huge, because some people don't get that.
Carol, and tell us one thing that you wish all survivors knew. All who are currently victims. If you only had one thing to tell them, what would it be?
That life is better in the after. I say it all the time. Life is better in the after. And I also am very, very honest, as I've seen other people do, in the endurance it takes. When it's a bad day, I talk about it being a bad day, because my daughter has asked me, Mom, does it bother you when people talk about what a great life you have? Because they don't know the years you spent under crushing abuse. They don't know that after you escaped, you couldn't get off the bathroom floor. They don't know that you took 4-hour, baths because you couldn't soak off the stench of him from your skin. No one knows those parts of you. They know that you have this life, that you're pursuing passions that you love, and it looks pretty good. And I'm like, I always say, no, I'm very happy that people say that, because if anyone hears me speak, I want them to know not only the ugly part, because I talk about all that, but I want them to know the after part. And I want them to know that still comes from keeping my head turning around. But that doesn't mean that life isn't beautiful. It doesn't mean that I haven't found love and adventure and someone who just cherishes everything about me. And that's possible. Yes. And it's okay to have those days when you go backwards. That's part of it. So all of it, the beauty and the magic of it is there for you to just take one tiny step a day and forward. And if you take 3 back on the next day, well, then just try for 4 tiny steps forward.
There you go.
Right? So anything you can do to stay on that road is great. And the realization that someone who claims to love you and then hurts you is not love.
Right.
Love, right? It's not
Absolutely right.
And if the whole entire world, Cheryle, you said it earlier, if the whole entire world absolutely digs what you do and you're surrounded by all these great examples, and the one person in your world who should is the one person who's causing all the problem, they don't get to hang out with you anymore.
They don't get to hang out.
All these other people who think you're so completely amazing, or at least love you, or at least encourage you, put your stock in them. The one person, not worthy of you.
Love doesn't hurt.
Amen.
Love doesn't hurt.
Amen.
What one thing do you want people to know? who may be ensnared in domestic violence right now? What's the one thing that you would want them to know?
My thing is, this too shall pass. Just stay the course, that you're stronger than you think you are. But this too shall pass.
Right, that's good.
For me, I think it is about a safety plan and communication. If someone who's experiencing abuse can have a safety plan before they escape, or shall I say, while they're enduring the abuse, a safety plan while they're in the abuse, a safety plan for escaping the abuse, and a safety plan post the abuse, because you're all like we've been talking about, you're always going to have that you're always going to have that possibility where your abuser is going to find you. And so creating the safety plan will help a victim gain the confidence they need to one day say, hey, enough is enough. This is the day I'm gone. And then while they're escaping, their safety plan is in place. They have confidence to carry through and to go forward. And then after post-abuse, they have a safety plan to say, hey, this may be a possibility for me, so I'm going to be prepared.
That what they're living in right now is not, number one, what they were created to live in, but that there's life after.
That's
And
powerful.
that's my really big thing, because I always tell, I was watching a YouTube video one night, the night that I left my abuser, and a lady, just like a panel, like she was telling her story about how she was living an abusive relationship. And then she found life after, like she got divorced and then was remarried and had like this whole life after. And I was like, wait a minute, this thing exists. And so that's the moment I packed up my children that night and I left, because that moment gave me hope that there was life after. And so I always try to encourage people to know that there's a life after. I know it hurts like hell right now, but this is not the end of your journey. It doesn't have to be. And I always say, if I knew that the life I'm living now was on the other side of what I was living before, oh my goodness, I'd have left a long time ago. But it's the idea that they have you brainwashed to believe that this is it.
Right.
So we're here to tell you that is not it. What you see on the faces of the people on this panel right now is the life after that you absolutely deserve. So just know that there's life after.
That's
and
powerful.
good life.
Yes.
And for me, better educating officers about how domestic violence affects them, and also the people that they serve and protect, plays a big part. Let them know that they are a survivor, and as all the women on the panel have expressed, that there is a new life, and it changes. It doesn't mean it's not going to hurt. It doesn't mean you're not going to think about it sometime, but the future is bright. And law enforcement has changed a lot. And,
it has.
All officers don't think the same anymore. They got a different frame of mind, but I pray that most of them are open-minded to what's going on in the world as far as with domestic violence, and just being an educator, educating others about it.
Okay. I appreciate you all so much. So Karis, your perspective is particularly interesting because you are a young person.
Yeah.
I'm still struggling with the whole you're a grown young person, but yeah, so but you're a young person and this is not your field that you work in. And so do you have any comments before we end this?
Well, I don't really feel like I have that much advice, but I think that it's important to have someone who you can trust and talk to for when times do get rough, and when you're in that situation and you might not know what to do, or sorry about that, or you might not want to even leave the situation, but just having someone to tell what's going on so that they can make a mental note, even if it's an advocate or a friend or whoever it is that you can actually trust, that no one put you in any danger, but instead will listen to you until you're ready to finish and move on from the situation. I think it's important to have someone to trust. So that's something that I would think, if God willing, I won't be in that situation, but I would want someone who I can trust to talk to. So that's me from a younger perspective, I guess. I would definitely want somebody to talk to about it.
Thank you, Sivan. You've been amazing. I can't hear you. Unmute your mic.
Communication and dialogue such as this and such as everything that the organizations that our panelists have shared, as well as the things that you do with Judah's Roar, is key to knowledge is power. Knowledge is power.
Yes, yes. Well, thank you all so much. We had a few panelists that had to exit, but I appreciate their contribution. And I hope that you all will stay connected with one another, even outside of this forum. We can be a great encouragement to one another. We may have insights that the other can use, but I thank you for your time. And for those of you who are watching, please do consider subscribing to our YouTube channel. It's Judah's Roar DVAI for Domestic Violence Awareness Initiative. We are committed to igniting hearts, inspiring minds, and safeguarding destinies. That's the bottom line. That's the bottom line. And we know that there is life on the other side of abuse. There is absolutely life, and it's a better life on the other side. And so again, I want to thank the panelists. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Love you to pieces. And
Thank you.
blessings.
Blessings.
God bless.
Thank
God
you.
bless.